friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do another video on etiquette at Disney World because there are a lot of things that I think people don't realize, even if they've been a lot of times, or especially if they've never been to Disney World, that you really should or shouldn't do. Now, these are things that my husband and I came up with together that we've noticed at Disney World that, quite frankly, we think can be kind of irritating or rude to other people. So I have my list here, so let's get started. The first thing that we wrote down is don't loiter in front of the FastPass line waiting for your time. Now, you can't enter the FastPass line until your FastPass window has arrived. So if your FastPass is from 11 to 12, you can't get in line prior to 11. And there are people who try, and then the cast member says, oh no, you can't get in line yet, it's too soon, you have to wait another 5 or 10 minutes. And they just hang out in front of the line with their entire group or their entire family. And it's like, they're taking up all that space, and it's difficult to maneuver around them. And so don't hang out there, move to the side and wait there. Similarly, we also said, don't hold up the entire line at a quick service restaurant because you can't decide what you want. Again, move to the side. There's a lot of, I think because the Disney World is very overstimulating and a lot of people don't know what's going on or where they are, what they want to do next, that they stop to decide and to figure things out. And when they do that, they're completely unaware of their surroundings and they're blocking things for other people. So in this case, these people are in line, you're in line for the quick service restaurant, say for 5 minutes, that should be enough time to decide what you want based on the menu. But then they get up to the front of the line and they still don't know. And it's like, there are 3 things on the menu. How have you not decided what you want yet? So in this case, I would say don't get in line until you know what you want. You know, you can stand to the side and look at the menu there. This also, we've noticed, happens a lot when people are coming out of shows or out of rides. They're waiting for the rest of their party. So they go out into the entrance and then they don't know what they're gonna do next. So they turn around to look for the next people in their group. And now there's this huge bottleneck of people because they're blocking the entire exit and nobody can get out. And the rest of the people on the ride or that were at the show can't get out, and you're all, move to the side and then, look at your map or decide what you wanna do, but don't stop right in the middle of the doorway or the walkway. That is a huge pet peeve of mine, and it happens all the time. Another thing that unfortunately needs to be said is don't be rude to the cast members. There are times, Disney is the most magical place on earth, and they go above and beyond and out of their way to make it absolutely perfect for you, but it can't be 100% perfect. And the cast members are doing their best. They're doing everything they can, and they really are very overwhelmed, I think, with responsibility, and they have a lot of guests that they need to tend to. And I think a lot of these guests are under the assumption that because they paid so much money for this trip, they're going to, if something isn't right, they're gonna pitch a fit. And we unfortunately have seen that, and would just like to say, don't be rude to the cast member just because you paid all this money for this trip. If they aren't doing what you would like them to do, there's probably a reason for that. And something I always think of is if they're able to make major decisions and offer you things like for compensation for something or things like that, they wouldn't be working in the spot they're in. They wouldn't be the one taking your quick service order or ringing up your total at the Emporium on Main Street if they had that much authority. So take that with a grain of salt and be kind to them too, because their jobs are very difficult. Something a lot of people don't think about is the transportation. So when you go on the buses or on the boats or the monorail, fill them up, because during peak times, they can be pretty busy and people may not get on the first boat or bus or monorail that's coming. We have seen many times parents sitting with, you will have 2 parents and 2 small children sitting on the bus, and they're all spread out. And then there are additional people that can't get on the bus. Well, you can put your child on your lap, to make room for other people. And the buses do allow people to stand. So while I'm not saying you need to cram together like, sardines and really pack everybody in, you can get fairly close. You can get quite a bit of people on the buses, and I think a lot of people are just like, oh, I would rather not. And then other people have to wait for the next bus, and it's then delaying them by like 20 minutes. So be considerate of the people that are waiting behind you and fit as many people as you can on a bus as possible. I mean, that's just kind of common sense. And along the same vein of common sense is don't litter. There is a garbage can like every so many feet. I mean, if you really pay attention, they're ridiculously close together. Just hold on to your stuff and throw it away there, because yes, Disney goes out of their way and they try to keep everything clean and pristine, but we don't need to go out of our way to make their jobs even more difficult. So that's just something that, if I find garbage on the ground, I'll pick it up. I mean, within reason. If it's like something that looks like it's gonna give me hepatitis, okay, I'm not gonna pick it up. But, if it's like a Cheeto bag or something that somebody just threw on the ground, yeah, I'm gonna pick it up, because it blows my mind, the people that will just walk by it when there's a garbage can right there. Like, you can't just pick it up and throw it away and then wash your hands right after that. I think it would be, like I said, they go out of their way to make it as close to perfect as possible. And if people didn't, ignore these kinds of things, then it would be even closer to perfect, if that makes sense. So the next two things I have are, I think, is just because people are oblivious. They're not intentionally being rude. And now I've really noticed when people have backpacks, large backpacks, or a stroller, or like a scooter, that they are not really aware of people around them. And they don't realize how much more room they take up. And then, like with their backpack, especially, they're turning, especially in like tight spaces, like in a store or in line, and you're hitting the person behind you in the face. And try to be aware of that. When you're in a tight space, I have seen some people take their backpacks off and put them on backwards so they're in the front, so that they can really see where it is, and try, I guess, just be cognizant of not knocking things over and not getting in people's way. And I think that's very, very smart thing to do, and responsible. You don't want to accidentally knock over an entire shelf full of mugs in a gift shop because your backpack hit them. And same thing with the stroller or the scooter. Those things take up a lot of room, so just try to be careful of other people's feet and ankles so that you don't run them over. The last thing that I wanted to mention is to anticipate meltdowns. This, I guess, is geared toward children, but I suppose adults can have meltdowns too. Try and anticipate meltdowns. Now, what I was thinking initially for children, there are a couple of things that came to mind. First of all is in regard to dark rides. Now, if your child is afraid of the dark, giving them a light is not a reasonable solution, because it disrupts the ride for everybody else. I was on Spaceship Earth one time, and I think it was actually the cast member gave a small child a flashlight because they were pitching a fit because it was going to be dark. And if I recall, they told the kid to like keep it low, don't like shine it around. Well, the kid was shining it around anyway, and the parent did nothing about it. The child, we were in, it was in the room where, if you've been on Spaceship Earth, it's this great big, like you're like at the top of the dome, and you can see the sky, and there's, the blizzard and the mammoth and everything. And the kid is shining the flashlight right on the ceiling so everybody can see it. And the parent didn't do anything about it. It's like, okay, that is not a reasonable solution. I have been on the Haunted Mansion ride before, where the kid in the Doom buggy next to me, sometimes they're behind you and sometimes they're next to you because you move sideways, your cars turn, but the kid next to me was given a phone, and the phone for a light, and the phone was on. So sitting next to me, I see this bright light next to me the entire time. It's like, okay, that is not a good solution. You're disrupting other people. I have seen children in the very beginning part of the Haunted Mansion. They're wearing a Mickey Mouse necklace that lights up that a lot of kids get at night for the parade. And the parent tells them, oh, just turn it on in the very beginning. Turn it on when the lights go out if you're scared. And the cast member said, turn out the lights, it needs to be dark, and they would not turn it off. And that kind of thing is very frustrating to other people. So try and anticipate this for your children and come up with a more reasonable solution that doesn't disrupt other people having a bright light like that. I mean, especially like in the beginning part of the Haunted Mansion, that is meant to be dark for people to see everything. So if there are any lights, it can affect that. Same thing with the rest of the ride. That's the dryer. Same thing, I mean, really on all dark rides, like on Pirates of the Caribbean, that is meant to be dark. So if you're giving your child a light of some sort, it's kind of taking it away. Maybe if your child had, if you could get like they have like little lights that can go on your shoes, that you could turn on just for the dark rides, and that'll be low enough so that your kid could see their feet and not, I mean, it's not gonna light up the rest of the space. I don't know if that would help, or just prep your child for the dark. Ultimately, in this case, if your child is going to be very scared and crying and screaming the whole time, please do not make them go on it. The last time we were there, there was a kid screaming loudly the entire ride for Pirates of the Caribbean because of the drop. I mean, it is not that big. I don't know what he was expecting, but he was just extremely terrified of the drop. And he was older too. I want to say he was between 8 and 10 maybe. And he was so loud the entire time. And then the parents trying to console him because he was loud. We heard the entire conversation the whole time. So try and keep that in mind, and do not make your child go on a ride that they are afraid of. Really be aware ahead of time if you think your kid will be able to handle a dark ride, and prep them if you can. Otherwise, skip it and do something else. And likewise with meltdowns, I think you can really anticipate meltdowns with your kids in terms of food when they're hungry. Kids get crabby when they're hungry. That's just how they are. And you can bring snacks. Try and have clean snacks. You don't want your kids sticky and then touching, everything around them. Bring hand sanitizer if they're gonna be eating in line. Maybe crackers or something like that. That's a little bit easier to, not quite so messy. Something that we did on our last trip, or that I did, I should say, that I thought was, it worked out really, really well, is I went through the quick service restaurants in all of the parks, and I went on allears.net and I found their list of restaurants. So I went and found all of the quick service restaurants, and I just went through them, and I found the ones that would be of interest to us and that would work for me, due to dietary restrictions, requirements, wants, needs, whatever. And I made a list. So I made the list of the name of the restaurant, what land it was in, or area of the park, say Tomorrowland or whatever. And then a very brief description of the kind of food they had there, like pizza, or hamburgers and hot dogs, or flatbreads, or clam chowder and seafood, that kind of thing. And that worked out for us so well, because when I am low blood sugar, I cannot think straight. And I'm crabby, and especially going in August, it was so hot. This worked out really well, because there were times where we were in Fantasyland and I could look and see, okay, here are the quick service restaurants, and then I could see by land. Okay, I'm not gonna look at the ones in Frontierland because I don't wanna walk all the way over there right now. So I'd say, okay, these are the ones that are close to us, and this is what they have, what is of the most interest to you and me, you being my husband, and then we ate there. Worked out perfectly. I have been to Disney World many times. I'm less familiar with the quick service restaurants just because there are so many and we'll eat at different ones, but this worked out amazingly well, and I would really recommend it, and I will certainly do it again for another trip. I don't know what I did with those. I'll have to find them. Anyway, so those are my tips on Disney World Etiquette 2.0, and I will link the first video down below if you missed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.